Hello guys, today I want to go over my character for the Allflame League, which is a Wretched Defiler doryani Reliquarian. It was inspired by a friend named Shayd. He's a excellent build maker. I'll link his max roll in the description, but basically we conversed on how to make this build work, and we finally hit the aspirational version of this build. Uh, So I want to show what that build is basically. Um, so my wand is basically a recon wand for triple tier 1 prefixes, and then you hunter exalt, and then you do crafted free modifiers, get minion cast speed, and I crafted dexterity because I have attribute issues. The helmet is a double respected Dark Monarch. Ideally, I want a +2, but ideally, there's so many Dark Monarchs, I never hit it. So that's still a possible upgrade. The shield is a triple tier 1 prefix recom, and then you shape a exalt Allflame for ES when you block. It's a 1 in 6, 1 in 8, one of those. And then you want to Allflame exalt a good second suffix, and then you just craft suppress spell damage. My talisman is basically a hunter carrion queen for +1 specters, +1 all skill gems. I increase item rarity. I have movement speed, tier 1 all attributes, because again I need attributes on this build. And then I have T2 fire res, since all my elemental damage is taken as fire damage. The Doryanis I have is 4% reduced fire damage taken. After talking to Shayd, it does stack additively with the Fragment of Winter Pantheon. So the 6%, this 4% adds up to 10% reduced fire damage taken. Yeah. Yeah, of course I have +2 socketed minion gems for my respected setup. My rain, this rain can only come from the Lake of Kalandra event, because it has very high rolled mist values that you can't get with the mist currency. So basically, like, if you were to search this rain on trade, right? If I do just rarity of items found, which is what, let's do 80%, and I do light, need. Can I not spell? Lightning resistance, and this has like -90. The only ones that should show up are helical rains, or there's none on trade. I think the helical only goes up to like 75. Yeah, this guy has like one with a tier 2, but it only hit 79. So to get like these insane values, it does have to come from the lake naturally. So basically this is a one-off rain, and then I'm using Kalandra's Touch to reflect it, or duplicate it basically. That's why I have 300% increased item rarity, because I like to do T0 farms. I've been doing T0 Abyss farming in this league. I dropped 2 Mage Bloods and a lot of other tier 0s, tier 1 uniques. The gloves are triple tier 1 recom again on Warlock gloves. And then I just hunter exalts to get a hunter influence item, because I need 4 hunter influenced items. And then I just do aim for tier 4 or higher attribute modifier. Then you can use the cut that changes the attribute to whatever you want. So in this case I need dexterity, so I have dexterity. And then ideally you want tier 1 ES recharge rate, but tier 1 versus tier 3 is a 6% difference. It's honestly not that much. Like this build is basically like very tanky already. And then I have 6% suppress damage, and then Mage Blood with Mage Blood flasks. And then these boots, I actually crafted these boots last night. I was actually talking to Shayd on how to craft these boots, but basically you get an Elder and Hunter base. So the one with the 26%, basically you fossil spam until the only 2 modifiers that are on the item is tier 1 flat ES and tier 1% ES, and then you don't want any other modifiers. On your donor base, which only needs to have the Elder Influence, it doesn't need to be double influence. It should have the +2, but it should be a base that is not native to an intelligence base. So you want to use the evasion base or you want to use a strength base. And then you want to fill the prefixes with their defensive modifiers. So if you have evasion base, you would get evasion mods. If you have a strength base, you would get armor mods. And then ideally you want a like tier 1 movement speed, which in this case I did. And then that base also needs to have a elevated elder mod for a +2. And then you want to craft 1 additional suffix, and that suffix should be a non-native mod. So if you have a strength base, that's like life regen and strength. If it's a dex base, that is suppression and dex. And then basically when you recom, you have to win the 50-50. If it wins the 50-50 and it chooses the warlock base, you have a, I think what Shayd mentioned, it's a 29% chance to keep all 3 prefix mods. So I did win the 1 in 4 after winning the 50-50, so that's already pretty lucky. That's like winning a fracturing orb, right? But even if I didn't win the 1 in 4, it's still a 45% chance to keep the 2 prefix mods, which is the WS mods, which is still okay. And then I just did the Allflame crafting mechanic, and then I did tier 1 avoid stun, and then crafted suppress spell damage. So my defenses is high PDR, high ES. Hold on, let me, because earlier I was farming Abyss, and my minions were dying, so I like respect my tree a little. So let me change my tree back to what it was before. There we go. Okay. So I'm back to 10,800 ES. I have 100% suppress cap. Again, the only reason why I swip off suppression against Abyss rares is because I don't have an issue of dying. Like, this build is insanely tanky. It can tank most content in the game just standing still. It's the minions have trouble out healing the damage that the Abyss rares do to them, because like I'm the tanky one, right? My minions, they're like block capped, but even block cap is not enough to save them from like dirty modded Abyss rares. But I can face tank those, but my minions can't. So yeah, that's pretty funny. But I have 100% suppress. I have insane ES recharge per second and decent ES regen per second. When you use Zildjial's Crank and Wicked Ward, basically it means that when you block, your ES recharge is always active. So my ES regen, my effective ES regen is 4,900, which is half my ES pool, which is an absolutely insane regeneration source. And then my other source of defense is Dawnbreaker. Normally, when you see a Reliquarian build, they'll run a second Dawnbreaker on top of this Dawnbreaker with Purity of Fire, damage is taken as fire, Purity of Fire, Watcher's Eye, and then they'll run Temple of War, and that's how they cap out their cold and lightning damage to taken as fire damage. But last night I swapped to Bound by Destiny, which makes it so that 10% of elemental damage is taken as chaos damage if you have 4 hunter mod or 4 hunter items equipped, which is my wand, my amulet, my gloves, and my boots. So that's 4 mods, or 4 items, sorry. And throw beers at wife. Interesting. So with this 25%, Temple of War 50%, so that's 75%, and then you need exactly 50% on the Watcher's Eye. This is a one-off Watcher's Eye. There is no other Like if you were to search this Watcher's Eye specifically, like not even looking at rolls, I don't think it exists. Couldn't let me take it as fire, and then burning grounds, purity of fire, and then determination, PDR. Yeah, there's no Watcher's Eyes with these 3 mods, but this build does need the unaffected by burning ground to form Abyss, because else you would need to take Soul of Abreth. But because I have that modifier on the Watcher's Eye for the Chill of Fire modifier that can spawn on rares, which is an extremely dangerous modifier, I can now take Risloffer for my 50% reduce, and then that freed up 4 skill points over here that I was taking before for the recovery mastery. That is the 50% reduced life regen. And then combine that with Frostbomb makes us that the Giga Tank Abyss rares cannot heal, basically. So yeah, this is a one-off Watcher's Eye. I'm block cap, 90% res. I am crit immune because I have Rockiadas with this 10%. This cluster itself is 60%, and then the other 40% I just tattoo on my tree. And yeah, this build is really tanky. I'm running Arctic Armor, Purity of Fire, Tempest Shield, Race Spectres with Congregation. Congregation looks at your total number of Spectres. So since I have 10 Spectres by default, this 40% applies to that 10. So that's when you have this, it says maximum 14. So that allows you to run 4 support Spectres. I'm running Perfect Guardian Turtle, Perfect Forest Tiger, Perfect Spirit of Fortune, and Perfect Judgmental Spirit. And then I link Overcharge because that makes it so that they have very high shock effectiveness, which just means that when my Wretched Defilers hit them, it's like 20% more damage. And then I have Feeding Frenzy, of course, more damage. On the shield, I have Zealotry linked with Generosity. Zealotry, you don't care about the crit because the Wretched Defilers basically can't crit. So you just run it for the 60% more spell damage, and then Generosity just amplifies that effect. For Wretched Defilers, I'm running Wretched Defilers, Pierce, minion damage, controlled destruction, return projectiles, and then Grid Echo just floods the screen with projectiles. On the gloves, I'm running Frostblink, Sniper's Mark, Shield Charge, and Frostbomb. And on boots, I'm running Desecrate, Bone Offering, Automation, and Convocation. Bone Offering is basically there, again, only for Abyss content. Normally for, like, if I'm doing like Ubers, for example, I'll swap Bone Offering for Flesh Offering because Flesh Offering is just attack and cast speed or something, right? It's yeah, increase cast and attack speed. So that's basically a swap that I do for bossing. There's 2 farms that I've been doing, or 3 farms rather. One is like the Mook and Essence Stain, Abyss, Giga Rares, but like this farm is pretty fun. The Ethereal one, it's like fun in every league. And then let me just do a quick map showcase of the Ethereal farm using this build.
Rid yourself of your delusions. The Atlas cannot be studied, only...
Yep. Ethereal is like one of those farms that, like, if you need those like dopamine sounds, right? And Ethereal is like the way to go. Probably loot after. Looting would take forever for a video.
Your luck's on the ground.
But yeah, this build is insanely chill, right? It's a minion build, right? You just run around and then the minions shoot projectiles everywhere and you just loot. That's the core gameplay. Of course, where is the map boss? But yeah, that's gambling district. But yeah, that's basically a map showcase of this build. One upgrade I do want to make is I want to recraft my talisman so it also has the Elder influence, because my Bound by Destiny also has nearby enemies or unnerved if I have 2 Elders. But since I have 1 Elder on the boots, getting a second one means that unnerved enemies take 10% increased spell damage, and again, Wretched Defilers are spell damage based Spectres, so that just means that's 10% more damage basically. So yeah, that's an insane upgrade that I'll probably do in the next couple of days. But that is my build for the league. It is a very tanky, very relaxing build, or MF build rather. Yeah, just wanted to put this video out, and yeah, stay safe. Peace.